Hey everybody, Ronarray here, and today I want to showcase my Ignite Hungering Souls Warlock. I think it's a pretty fun build that can feel capable in different situations as well. You can strike a lot of enemies around you with Hungering Souls and pretty much use additional abilities such as Fissure to stack ignites around yourself. It can also survive pretty well thanks to low life mechanics and Profane Veil by itself. Let's go forward and see what exactly is needed for build to work and what we need to aim for. So talking about how the build works, we are mostly utilizing Hungering Souls, since it's a great way to ignite our enemies. On top of that, we are using Soul Fire, a pretty unique relic that provides us additional chance to ignite with fire and necrotic skills. It will also make our Hungering Souls ignite instead of possessing enemies. That way we also get additional chances to ignite with Hungering Souls and more spell damage to ignited enemies as well. On top of that, we are using Curse of Perseverance, the unique two-handed staff. It will give us a chance to hit one enemy with multiple Hungering Souls. It will also pretty much negate all the con debuffs from Hungering Souls 3, because that way we are just using our Hungering Souls in sequences. So that way, as you can see, we can pretty much hit any target that close to us, because that way we're just casting them in a very small con. In the Hungering Souls passive 3, we can take a lot of awesome bonuses, such as bonuses to extra projectiles, additional ward when they are casting, and stuff like that. To survive better, we are using the low life setup, that contains Frostbite Shackles, Last Epoch of the Living, and Exsanguinous. That way we can get a lot of constant ward, which is so easy to regenerate, especially if we are hiding in the Profane Veil. We're also getting ward when we are casting Hungering Souls, thanks to the unique passive called Lament. And that way we can survive pretty alright even in higher corruptions. To stack our damage, we're also using Throne of the Ambition, because that way we can get a lot of fire damage in almost all situations, on top of some armor too. So our main skill is Hungering Souls. We can get Soul Swarm for more projectiles, and Dominion of Undeath, because we're not really afraid of the convict, and we are casting our Hungering Souls just in sequences. That way we can just get free mana cost to cast Hungering Souls without stopping even for a second. On top of that, we are taking Descent into Madness, because damage over time is pretty much what we are doing. And such notes like Life Hunt help a lot with the cast speed. And Lament down there will give us additional ward when we are casting Hungering Souls directly, which is pretty awesome. Moving forward, the next skill is Transplant. There we just need a basic set of bonuses. The most important part is Violent Emergence, because that way we'll be able to finish off our enemies, with killing threshold of 15%. That way we can pretty much just finish all the bosses with the blink, and it works pretty nice. We're also getting the Bone Armor, because it's a pretty strong bonus together with Apostasy for Bone Armor duration. Acolyte's Fervor will provide Frenzy for 3 seconds, and definitely recommended too. Next skill is Infernal Shade. With Infernal Shade we just need to take our basics. Hellfire will help us to shred fire resistance. On top of that we can take Fly of Fire for additional maximum shades. And Blaze Shade can help too with dealing more damage to the enemies, especially when we are just using our Profane Veil to stack shades itself. We are also taking Lingering Flames for shades to stay on the ground, because it will rise their effectiveness overall. 5 points into duration will help a lot as well, and definitely recommended, together with increased area, because that way they can overlap and hit more enemies. So Chthonic Fissure here is used mostly for AoE clear, because we're not really hitting that good with just Hungering Souls. We are taking Mantle of Flames for Translation of Ignite chance. On top of that, Pyrochasm can help, and Ash Cloud pretty much really nice as well. Fellfire will help us to spread our ignites too, and Fragile Crust is going to fix our mana. That way we can use Chthonic Fissure just to clear out packs of enemies, because that way it's much easier. Moving forward, the Profane Veil is a pretty much surviving skill. We will need Spirit Plate for protecting us against damage over times, 3 points on the Eternal Blasphemy to move faster around and will have higher duration. Unholy Reveal is pretty nice too, because that way we can cleanse all ailments. Penitent Target is a pretty nice bonus too, and we can get Infernal Deliverance because we are using Shades. That way we can just stack our Shades with Profane Veil, and it works pretty nice in a combo. So talking about our passives, starting with Acolyte, we're just taking Blood Aura and Blood Pact, because that way we'll lose our house more often. We're also getting Forbidden Knowledge, because stacking Intelligence is pretty much the best way to get Word Retention right now. On top of that, Mana of Mortality and Unnatural Preservation will stack our Word Retention even higher. Moving to the Warlock, 5 points into Spiteful Decay will help with both damage over time and health. And Chaos Flames is pretty important just to get Ignite chance with fire skills. Occultist Mind is completely amazing, so try to get it as fast as possible, because that way you'll get a lot of mana from Intelligence. On top of that, I think Imperishable pretty much worth it, just for Ward Decay threshold per 1% Nico resistance. And Malefic Body for Intelligence Vitality and Vessel of Chaos for just damage should work pretty nice. Infernal Lash is the most important skill in the whole tree, because that way we're getting a lot of Ignite chance. And on top of that, we can just use Scorch Reach for additional fire damage. Moving to the Leech, we are taking all intelligence that is possible, so Apocrypher, Crippling Insight as well, and Dance with Death will just boost our damage, together with Mental Cacophony, just to get more mana and word retention. That way we can reach the maximum amount of damage through our passives and to get a lot of intelligence for high word retention. So talking about our items, the most important one is Curse of Perseverance, as I already mentioned. We also need to stack elemental damage over time on top of that and chance to ignite. That's the most important stats there. As a helmet we are using Bone Climber Barbute, it's a pretty nice one. Try to get Hunger and Souls levels on top of that, for most amount of utility. Exsanguinous together with Last Steps of the Living and Frostbite Shackles pretty much creates a basic low life setup. Exsanguinous here just to lose our current health and get missing health as ward, the same as Last Steps of the Living, and Frostbite Shackles we can just buff with the same buff, so 15% of missing health gained as ward per second. That way it just works much better. We also need Soulfire, so make sure that you have it in your build, because it will make our Hungering Souls ignite instead of possessing. We also will get additional chance to ignite with fire skills and necrotic skills, which stacks pretty nice with our build setup. Ashes of Mortality is a pretty nice ring too, because that way we can get cast speed, ward retention and fire damage. It also will help a little with ward mitigation by itself, and if you can stack something like increased damage over time on top of that, it will work pretty good. At the belt we aim for elemental damage over time, health and possibly cleanse. And the second ring is here to provide void resistance and critical strike avoidance. And the amulet we're also aiming for increased elemental damage over time, and if you can get chance to ignite on hit, it will be a pretty nice bonus to whole DPS kit. Talking about our idols, we will need big idols with elemental resistance and health, so that will pretty much help us to cap our elementals. I'm using 3 of those, and the last one should just have increased health and increased fire damage. Big one I prefer to use with just health, but you can get chance to ignite and health together. Throne of Ambition is a pretty nice boost to our whole DPS kit, because we are doing a lot of fire damage and they are hitting enemies pretty often. That way it's so easy to just maintain maximum amount of stacks when they are fighting the boss or the rare enemy. So make sure you get that one as fast as possible. And the last small idols were getting physical resistance and damage over time, and void resistance and damage over time, just to cap our resistances. Talking about the blessings, we're using chance to ignite on hit, which is nice. Together with critical strike avoidance, try to get as high percentage as possible. So armor by itself is a basic setup, both of them. And the last one is mana, because it just feels a little better to use our Chthonic Fissure when we have more mana. You can also get stun chance there if you prefer that, because it will help you a lot with pretty much every clear. So that was my Ignite Hunger and Souls Warlock build. It was pretty fun playing it, and I think it could be pretty capable depending on the situation and on corruption that you're able to push. Ignite right now is not the best damage over time, pretty much outshined by Bleed, but it still can deal with most of the enemies. And Hungering Souls by itself is a pretty fun spell because it can look pretty flashy and interesting. Thank you very much for watching, please like and subscribe for more RPG content, and see you next time.